Well, that's the thing.
losses.
I remember, like when you, until even here at SHP in our almost 19 years of existence, we've survived a flood, we've survived a fire, and like the last thing I think about when I wake up in the morning is my insurance policies, right? But when that moment happens, it's like you better hope that you have what you thought you have, because I remember the cost, and luckily we had a great policy. You guys, everything was taken care of, but that. Like, real quick, like how important it is when you face a crisis. And that's just a simple one that I'm talking about, because those do happen and most policies cover that. But if you have an incident where it's not covered and you think you are, you could be out, millions.
And that happens quite a bit, unfortunately, and we see it all too often. Cyber is a perfect example, because cyber is one of those policies some people think, well, it's kind of nice to have. Well, today you have to have it as a business owner, and it's harder to get today than it ever has been. You think about what's happened over the course of the last 18 months in this world. We've all gone home. Yep. We've got more security data risk, data flying, across the internet than there ever has been. There's and our greatest risk isn't generally our firewalls, it isn't our email system, it's our people.
Yes.
And when our people, we don't have as many controls over our people, that's when things happen.
Well, that's the thing. And even here, I think you look at all the possibilities of like what can happen. And even now, which was not a thing many years ago, when I started in the business, it was like you call someone. There wasn't even really emails, back and forth. I don't think when I started in the business, I had an email, or if I did, my clients didn't have it. They just called me. Now we have full policies and procedures. If someone's identity is nothing to do with us, but people have identity stolen. And there's like a 15-step process we have to go through that wasn't even thought of 15, 20 years ago. So here we are. So we're talking about all these risks. So what are the major risks that you guys see that aren't covered? If someone's listening, yeah, I think I have a policy, but what's something that might not be covered in a traditional policy?
Sure. Yeah, your traditional. I talked about those traditional policies earlier. Another perfect example beyond cyber that is a bigger deal today than it ever has been. And in this war for talent and people jumping ship from one business to another, and the period of layoffs that we had at the outset of the pandemic, it's employment practices liability insurance. And that is, jokingly in the industry, we kind of call it the Harvey Weinstein policy. It's the hiring, the firing, the discrimination, it's the harassment.
Well, that has to be more prevalent than ever, right? Because now everything's so sensitive and
absolutely.
And everyone's ready to it's a very litigious society we live in.
You said it. And it's unfortunate that we're living in it. And, the insurance industry gets villainized as a result of it, but we're really responding to what's happening in the world that we live in. So employment practices liability, a lot of business owners will, if they're in a period of time where they're in a cash crunch, that's one of the first policies they'll ask, do I need that? Unfortunately, we've seen it too many times where somebody has eliminated that from their portfolio of insurance.
So what would happen? Let's say they eliminated it, and then all of a sudden there's a claim.
There's a claim, and now you are left to litigate that claim on your own. And 9 times out of 10, those claims don't go very far, but I can tell you just the cost of litigation can be substantial. It could be well into the 6 figures just to litigate that claim. And the 1 time out of 10 where it really does become a problem, those are huge awards. Oh, yeah. And now you're out of pocket, potentially 7 and well into the 7 figures on something like that.
Yeah, so that's someone that you're going to want to make sure you have if you're trying to keep someone that's worked their butt off to build a business. We're trying to protect that for good people that have done that work. And what any other traditional policies that are usually missing certain things that you see if someone let's say you're sitting down with a business for the first time? Because I know when we're sitting down with a client, 99 I don't want to say 99 times out of 100, that's a little aggressive, but when someone comes in for the first time, if you talk to anyone on the team here, it's like, I know they have a portfolio. They have a portfolio. There's some sort of stocks, bonds, mutual funds, but that's their entire plan. And I already know I'm going to find hey, what's your tax preparation? What's your tax strategy? Not filing your taxes, but what have you done to prepare to reduce taxes going forward? And then the head turn what? We don't do that. And so I already know a lot of people are missing things from estate planning, tax planning, even from a financial planning perspective. So you must have the same things on your end when you sit down, you want everyone to have all the appropriate coverage and have a well-rounded, holistic plan. But like the one you just mentioned, that's one that's probably missing quite a bit. Any other ones that you see?
Yeah, I mean, again, there's so many different areas we could focus in on, but you're keying in on some of the things that we see probably more often than not. Mm-hmm. Another one would be crime, and it's internal crime. It's your employees stealing from you, and we all have, we're all good natured, human nature, right? We think nobody's going to do that to us. I've known my employees forever, and it's the employees that have known forever, or the family members that, unfortunately, we have seen these stories unfold more times than not. And when we come in to meet with somebody and we talk about the potential portfolio of insurance and what they should be buying, that's one of those areas where people are saying, I don't really need that, or I only need a limited amount there because I know that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
They think along the lines of somebody, maybe back in the warehouse grabbing something and going home, and how much can you really get away with? The reality is and you see it on the news from time to time, the story about, and I hate to characterize it this way, but oftentimes it's the little old lady that's been there for 40 years, and come to find out she's been stealing for the last 12. And it's millions of dollars that she's gotten away with.
Wow.
Or it's a family member, that we don't have the proper controls in place, and they're cutting checks to an entity that you're not aware of, and that entity happens to be them.
Yep.
And so we've seen that all too often. And the funny thing is,
That's crazy.
when we're coming in and we're selling those products, usually it's that person that's in the room.
No.
And they're helping to make the decision not to buy that coverage.
Oh
And
my
we've
gosh.
seen it time and time again.